Welcome to Snowpiercer that is 2 hours long with lots of information, so the big board of preliminary information is required to attempt and make this video short, which I will fail at doing. This movie takes place in 2014 time where global warming got so bad that really smart people came up with this new chemical that will cool the planet the fuck down. It's called CW7 and it's released into the atmosphere, but in classic human fashion they overcorrected and plunged the whole planet into an eternal winter and killed all humans everywhere. Except for on Wilford's train, a train that was built to last forever and through like a really bad winter and is self-sustaining. I guess it also runs on nuclear energy or some shit like that. Goes on a railway system that covers the whole earth and does one loop around the earth in exactly 1 year, even in these horrible frozen conditions with running into icebergs and slowing down and shit like that. Don't ask me how it does that. It's magical timing. Shut up. There's also a class system on this train. The people that paid and freeloaders that hopped on when the world was ending. Freeloading peasants are tail sectioners that are fed gelatinous blocks of protein, and paid bitches are front sectioners living the high life. Another thing to know is what kronol is. It is industrial waste that I guess is produced by the train's engine or something, and it gets you high. It's also very flammable, explosively flammable. Think of it as explosive Play-Doh cocaine. Now let's check out the humanoids of this movie. The first, Wilford. This bitch loves trains, made this one last forever and has a hard on for it, and his eternal engine. He's also ultra rich, likes to play around with people's fate and control them. Gilliam, who is an amputee, wise old spiritual leader or overall leader of the peasants in the tail section. Chris Evans, or Curtis, last name starts with E, doesn't really matter because they sound the same and I'm just gonna keep calling him Chris. He's also a peasant tail sectioner and he's the wartime leader or revolution leader of the peasants because they're all sick of getting treated like shit and then they're revolting against the whole train and the upper class people and are gonna take over the train. He's gonna lead them on that front. And then we got Edgar, PewDiePie's dog. He's the wrong Edgar. One second. This Edgar is human and is Chris's very loyal right-hand man. We also got Mr. Vietnam. He's the guy that designed the door security systems on the train and he's locked up in prison on prison section for being a kronol addict. I'm pretty sure he got locked up for other shit, not just being a kronol addict, but yeah, that's the extent of my knowledge. She also has a daughter, Yona. She's clairvoyant, can see how many people or feel how many people are behind doors or walls. She's a kronol addict and she's also locked up. Now on to the movie itself. The train's been running for 17 fucking years. The guards come in to do their daily routine of checking on the freeloaders and counting them, delivering shit jelly protein blocks while Chris counts how many doors are open for how long to the prison section. Then they go checking the protein blocks for a secret message because someone in front is helping them on this revolution. Then Tanya, the strong and independent black woman that don't need no man of this movie, that is eventually gonna need the help of a man, tells Chris that her son, little Timmy, has it, and inside they find a pill with a red letter inside that says Nam Kun Minsu, which they recognize as Nam, the guy that designs the security systems for the doors of this train, who's in the prison section. How they know this, I don't fucking know. There's lots of shit that comes up like this where they just read a thing and they fucking know intrinsically what it is. I guess this was on the news before the planet froze over and this is common knowledge for older folk in the train. I don't know. No, I'm just trying to give logical outs for these stupid fucking things they spring onto us. They want to break him out of prison so we can help them open all the doors all the way up to the engine, aka the very front of the train where Wilford is, so they can kill him and put Gilliam in charge. So Edgar's like,
listen, I just think if this guy says that he's such a great security expert, why can't he just break himself? Enough.
Good point, but maybe they have him incapacitated as well as tied up like Tai Lung. Ever thought of that, cocksucker? Anyway, Chris thinks that all the past revolutions failed, which there were some of. I just forgot to mention that because I'm stupid. He thinks they all failed because they didn't take the engine. Then out of nowhere, the guards come in to do a medical check on all the kids, but in reality, he came to abduct the two shortest kids for some reason, which end up being little Timmy, and they beat up Tanya to take him from her, and this little ginger kid, and then ginger kid's dad ends up bushing this fucking fat banana bitch, throwing his shoe at her. The kids get taken away, and then some dudes with suits come to punish the ginger dude by lubing him up and anally butt fucking him. By lubing him up and putting a ring around his arm and shoving it through a glory hole to the outside of the train to freeze his arm off, which they calculate will take 7 minutes at this altitude. Why can't he pull it back in? Is that shit they rubbed onto his arm glue so he can't pull it back in? Anyway, this dumb rich bitch that looks like a donkey comes along and gives them a 7-minute lecture about how they are shoes that belong on the feet and she's a hat that belongs on the head, telling them that they should know their place and stay in it because they're a burden. They're ungrateful, blah blah blah, and she's like, the 7 minutes are up. No, they are not. You still have around 2 minutes-ish to go, but movie timers be fucked like that, so whatever. They take the dude's arm back in and smash it off with a hammer. Then Gilliam and a bunch of amputees come along and donkey bitch tells the guards to put their useless guns down. He gives ginger dude some clothes and tells the bitch that he and Wilford need to talk, and she's like, why the fuck would he talk to you? After the pay-to-win players leave, the tail sectioners start putting their plan into action. Chris acquires a bunch of kronol from a druggie, and the rest are preparing a bunch of pipe sections. They're connecting a bunch of pipe sections. Fuck, I can't even. They're connecting a bunch of pipes together to drag all the way through all the open doors all the way to the prison section to keep them all open, and I really hope they cut the bottom of this barrel open so that they'll be able to do this shot, because if they didn't, it'll be impossible. Also, I hope they sanded the edges down so nobody cuts himself. Irrelevant, this cataloger, sketch artist, drawer dude gives Ginger, Guy, and Tanya pictures of the kids that he drew. Then guards show up apparently early because the tail sectioners thought they had more time, but the guards are here for another head check and protein block delivery. They barely get time to move the pipe back a bit, so it's now or never, and they wait for Chris's orders, who has a hunch that the guards have run out of bullets. In other words, as they call it, the bullets are extinct because they used them all in the last revolt. Donkey bitch saying put that useless gun down as evidence of that, but he doesn't want to give that tackle order because he doesn't want anybody to die. So humongous testicle moment, he decides to go myth busting and walks through the peasants who are yelling and trying to buy time for the pipe they're hiding. Gets to a guard, puts the rifle to his head and pulls the trigger, but bitches ain't got no ammo, so the myth has been busted and has been confirmed. Bullets are extinct. The tail dudes launch their attack, start dragging the pipe along and fighting the guards. Chris takes the protein block, guard takes the protein blocks out, slides underneath the fucking pipes, gives them like a NOS boost, flies through the doors, blocking them all. He jumps on the thing, knocks the guard out, gets into the prison section. They start fighting this really big guy from fucking Outlast and this ninja dude dude Gray comes along and stabs him, takes the prison keys, or like prison drawer keys, and they open the drawer to Nam. Do they actually sedate them before putting them in these drawers, or do they just plop them in there and hope they shut the fuck up and go to bed without a fuss? I don't know, doesn't matter. They wake Nam up with some kronol and use early 2000 CD player looking ass things that are actually on the go translators to communicate with him because he speaks some Nongjinghua Xinghua language or Korean or some other Asian language I just offended. They tell him that they want him to open the doors, and for each door he opens, he gets one kronol. The translators keep going quiet with us speaking, but I'm gonna pretend that they're still on because they can clearly still understand each other. Nam whips out the last 2 cigarettes on planet Earth and lights up the flag while pondering their offer. Little Chan steals his matchsticks and throws the ciggy to distract them and fight some other people, take the keys and unlock the drawer to his daughter, and tells them that he's gonna go on the condition his daughter comes in. They get 2 kronol per door. Did that dude just open his daughter's drawer in the first try? That's like a 1 in 20 chance picking out all these keys. Does he know which keys hers? He can't possibly know that. All the keys look the exact same. Did he memorize like the fucking jagged pattern on the end and shit? That's impossible. Fuck you. Whatever. They open the next section using Nam's help. His daughter called that it was gonna be empty, and it was empty. Probably evacuated because of them doing the revolution. They see the outside world for the first time in 7 years because of a window. Gilliam's like,
Still cold.
yeah, no shit, retard. How do you think Ginger Dude lost his arm, dumbass? They open the next door and find Paul in the protein block production section. He's somebody that they used to know, but they didn't have to cut him off. Make it like it never happened and that they were nothing. When the fuck did I write this? So apparently the pay-to-win Nibnobs took this fucking Paul dude away to make protein blocks and feed the other tail sectioners, and he's gone kinda local from being alone and making protein blocks out of fucking cockroaches, which is something Chris and his Sketcher drawer dude find out. Chris makes him promise not to tell anybody about this. He goes to roughen up Paul about feeding him this shit, but then he drops this little message pill and he's like, do you keep writing these? But the guy's like, nah, I just get them and pass them along. They open the message up and it says water. They figure out that the man in the front wants them to control the water purification and supply section. There's only a few cars up ahead, so all they have to do is cut off the water to the whole train so they can control negotiation and they don't have to go all the way up to the engine. They open the next door and Yona warns them not to open the next door because she feels there are lots of people behind there, but it's too late. They open it and they find a bunch of fucking masked guards with knives and axes waiting for them to kill them. Then they whip out a fish and gut it in front of them for intimidation, I guess. I don't know. So the homies square up and the fight commences. Wait a second, what section is this? It's not the meat butchery or slaughterhouse car because that one's up ahead, but this one still has a bunch of chains hanging around. Is this the fish butchery section? Is this the BDSM section? Also, most of the masked guards are fucking dumb because their fucking head socks are covering their eyes. I don't care if you can partly see through them. It's still a massive disadvantage, you fucking morons. Why are they even wearing it? It's so pointless. Whatever. Fighting happens. Slow-mo fighting happens, especially for Chris, and he slips on the goddamn motherfucking fish, and Edgar shows up, shows us how to not fight at all, because instead of kicking Chris's assailant away, he balls himself up and throws himself at him. What a great way to put yourself in a vulnerable position next to the guy on the ground once you are both on the ground together. Just seems like horrible fighting form for me, but what do I know? I don't know anything about martial arts. I haven't left the house in years. After a bit more fighting, the train conductors call for a timeout because they're passing over Yakaterina Bridge, signaling the new year or the one complete revolution around the earth. Think of it as New York City's balls dropping on New Year's. New York is weird, man. The masked idiots chant and celebrate, then the train conductor tells them to brace because they're about to hit not 1 but 3 different ice patches, which almost derails the train, but they make it pass safely. The train is now 18, it is of age, it can legally make an OnlyFans. Donkey bitch comes up and insults the tail sectioners like, you filthy ingrates sucking on hooligans' titties, something like that. I got words confused. She tells them that precisely 74% of them will die, and the front sectioners put on night vision because they're about to enter a really long tunnel and shut off all the lights so they can butcher them with a massive advantage, basically putting hacks on. They enter the tunnel and start slaughtering them. Chris calls for Chan to bring the fire. Kid lights a match and lights a torch, hands it to the one-armed ginger who runs and gives it to Gray, who lights up more torches, and they counterattack with fucking primitive ape caveman technology. So they just had a bunch of torches lying around just in case this happened. I find that hard to believe, but then again, how hard is it to make a torch? Also, while running back from the tail section and bringing the fire, they didn't pass by any of the pipe section that I laid down to block the doors, but it was too dark to really tell that, so I don't fucking know, whatever. Primitive technology gets used against the cheaters. Gray gets a hold of this train conductor dude is like, surrender or die. Dude screams to the donkey telling her that they're gonna kill me if we don't surrender, but she's just like, that literally sounds like a personal problem. So Gray kills the guy and throws a knife at her thigh, crippling her attempt to escape. I can't even believe she was that cocky to stay and didn't leave earlier, but whatever. Then Chris starts going after her and is faced with a dilemma. Either keep going after the donkey bitch or save Edgar, who is being held at knife point by the suit dude, and he chooses to go after the donkey while Edgar shows us peak combative incompetence because somehow, by some fucking miracle, he breaks free from the guy, and instead of keeping hold of the knife and trying to take it or fight him off or something, he turns around trying to run away, giving the guy prime stabbing real estate and gets stabbed to death. Way to go, dipshit. I've seen pandas with a smarter sense of self-preservation and decision making, and that's saying something because they're literally almost always trying to kill themselves. Anyway, Chris gets a hold of the donkey and forces her to tell everybody to stop fighting and surrender to the peasants. The tunnel ends. It was a pretty short one. Didn't you say it was gonna be a fucking long one, Yona? That shit's shorter than your dad's dick. They impale one of the guys in suits, and Gillian tells the rest of the survivors to wash themselves in the water supply section while they interrogate the donkey about the whereabouts of the missing kids. But she's like, I don't know where they are. Wilfred knows. Wilfred likes kids. Then they tell her that they're gonna cut off the water to the whole train, but she's like, they're only condemning their own people that way because it won't matter since the water comes in from the nose of the train, breaking up the ice and melting it to make water. But this is the confusing part for me because I thought this was the water purification and supply section. So the water comes in from the nose and it gets cleansed on the inside. Is she saying that the people in front are willing to make do with shitty, bad, unpurified water while the peasants cut off water from the water supply section, or do they have another water purification section up ahead? I'm confused. Anyway, she tells them that she'll take them over to Wilfred if they don't kill her. The peasants spend the night in the water supply section. They sleep there while Chris and Gilliam have a conversation in the middle of the night about how Gilliam doesn't want to continue with the men because the men are tired, wounded, and a lot of them died, so Chris decides to continue on his own with this small group of people that the cataloger historian dude takes a quick sketch of before they move forward and move into the more high-class sections of the train, like a garden greenhouse section and aquarium section. Yona is amazed by all of it, although I don't think she should have been. Wasn't she also a paid sectioner? At one point, I know she was born on the train, but her dad was a paid sectioner, so did they imprison her when she was 3 and she has no memory of this? Doesn't matter. They have some biannual shusi, but Minister Donkey only is allowed to eat protein cock. Then they cover her handcuffs because they're about to enter the school section, which is right after this slaughterhouse butchery section. I know there's a clear divide between the sections, but it still seems really weird to me. Also, didn't the tail sectioners wash themselves in the water supply section? Why do they still look dirty as hell? I know at least Gray washed himself, but he still looks like shit. Doesn't matter. They get into the school section and this crackhead pregnant teacher is teaching them about the greatness of the benevolent Wilford. He shows them a small video about him, how when he was a kid he was like, I like trains. Made a massive transportation industry, a worldwide connected railway, and super over-engineered train that can withstand the cold of the CW7 thing that he knew it would bring on. Everybody thought he was stupid for overbuilding it and shit, but he had the last laugh obviously when the world was over. I have an issue with this whole forever train and the eternal engine and shit. Sure, I'll give you that. You can maintain it for a really long time. Nothing lasts forever, but I'll fucking pass on the train. However, the train tracks, dude, how are you fucking maintaining those things? No one is alive to maintain them. You have to maintain them. Did you make some space-age new metal material that doesn't crack under the extreme stress of the cold, really harsh environment? Whatever. The class starts singing a song like, what happens if the engine stops? We all fucking die. Then the pregnant teacher shows the kids the 7 people that try to revolt and jump out of the train, thinking they can survive out in the cold, but instead they froze to death. Then a bald dude comes in with celebratory New Year's boiled eggs, handing them out, and moving all the way to the back, handing more eggs out. When he gets to the tail sectioners, they're like, I thought the chicken was extinct. While they say that Chris finds a secret message in his egg that says blood, and a terminal cancer patient goes, you know, it also thought to be extinct, and then pulls out an AR-15 from the eggs and starts lining them up while freeing other guards that are chained up and giving them guns. The teacher rips out a gun herself from an egg basket, kills the one-armed ginger while the kids run away, meaning that this was all planned and these kids were used as a distraction, but knowing Wilford, that is not surprising at all. Knives move faster than bullets though. Gray throws a knife at her fucking neck, the bitch dies. Then a live broadcast from one of the security cameras comes on, showing one of the soup guys killing Gilliam. Chris gets mad, gets a hold of the gun, and kills Minister Donkey. He is now the de facto leader of the peasants and keeps going with the Koreans who are still taking kronol for each door they open. They keep moving through like the commerce section, I guess, where they have tailors and dentists and shit. The rich people hangout section, the hair salon section, and I'm sure there's more carts they pass by, like the chicken butcher section, the chicken breeding section, the college section, the hospital section, and so on and so forth. Shit that we don't see. Then the soup guy arrives at the school section with 2 guards that see dead Minister Donkey, whose actual name is Mason, and they go, Mason. Shit, chicken pulse. She's been shot in the fucking head, you blind dumbass. What pulse? Anyway, at this point they're on a loop-de-loop section of the train tracks, and Soup Guy spots Chris on the pool section that is full of windows and fires at him through the window. Chris fires back and we get this cool little firefight that is kind of impossible with how they're aiming and how some of the bullets are penetrating and some are not. And the sequence ends with both of them reloading and shooting one hella accurate shot each, accentuating my point. But maybe what is more ridiculous is that after they're done, Soup Guy fucking teleports to be in the cart right behind them where they're opening the door for the next one. As you can see, using the limited images we have, assuming there's literally no travel time for these bullets and these weapons are hit scan, that means Soup Guy is right here, if not further behind. So counting the cars, he's at least 5 car lengths behind, if not 10 or more. How does he do this? Did he slip through a wormhole? Doesn't matter. They get to the next section, which is the sauna section, just in time before they get shot, and Soup Guy gets in there and plays hide and seek with them, more like hide and kill, because 2 guards die. Tanya gets shot, Chris gets knocked out, and Gray defends him hard till he gets stabbed to death really slowly. And retard Soup Guy, instead of finishing off Chris after he kills Gray, goes looking for the Koreans, finds them, gets beaten up by them, and stabbed to death by Chris, who just woke up. He promises Tanya he's gonna find Timmy while she bleeds out. They continue walking through the nightclub section. Nam and Yona stealing all the kronol they can find, making everyone mad at them and wanting to kill them. Then they get into the sex dungeon section, take some more kronol and fur coats. Then they get into is this the engine control room? Wouldn't that suffice instead of going to the engine itself? Or is this just a surveillance room or something like that? Whatever. They get to the final gate to the engine room. Yona falls down because she's too stoned to do anything. Chris gets mad at the final door and throws a fit, so Nam hands in the world's last cigarette to calm him down. Wait a minute, weren't the matches with little Chan? They probably took it off of him off screen. Doesn't matter. He lets the cigarette go to waste, so telling Nam the story of what happened after they boarded. They were left to starve to death with no food and no water for a month till they resort to cannibalism, start eating the weak. Chris saying that he knows what people taste like. He knows that babies taste the best. And one day these men with knives killed this woman to take her baby away. Then this old dude walked up and cut his arm off, told him to eat it instead of eating the baby. That guy was Gilliam, the baby was Edgar, and the man with the knife was Chris. Then lots of people started sacrificing limbs for food. He wanted to do so as well, but he was too pussy to do it. Then a little while later, Wilfred's soldiers came in with the protein blocks. Nam hears the story and he's like, cool story bro, but I want to open that door. See, he saw this plane off factory in a bridge 10 years ago and it was barely visible, but this time he saw and it was fully visible, meaning that the ice is melting and he thinks they have a chance surviving outside in the cold because it's got slightly warmer. And he's been collecting kronol not just to get high, but to mash it together and make a bomb to blow this fucking door off and get outside. Why can't he hack this one open? Did they lock it in a special way after those 7 people figured out how to get out and he can't hack it now? Doesn't matter. He asks for the matches, but then the gate opens and the fat bitch comes out, shoots him, and invites Chris in to see Wilfred. Closes the door and Chris finds Wilfred making steak. He also opens his big fat mouth and starts speaking. And it turns out Wilfred and Gilliam have been secretly communicating on the secret phone train system, orchestrating all these revolts. Revolt was having the one before that and this great Chris revolution. He even quotes Gilliam directly to prove this, and he's the one that's been sending the red letters. Both of them orchestrated all these revolutions to keep a healthy level of fear and anxiety up in the people and keep the population stable at a good level in this closed ecosystem. Not too high, not too low, just right, at the expense of the tail sectioners. They also reveals that the revolt was supposed to end in the Yakaterina tunnel, but he didn't expect the counterattack with a fire, so he killed off Gilliam for allowing that to happen. After that, he gives Chris a moment of peace in the engine while it's starting up. Chris cries a little bit, then Gilliam hands him a red letter that reads Twain, telling him that he's getting old and he wants him to take his place, tend to the engine and lead the people the same way he led them when he dies. Then the door opens because Yona woke up and saw her dead, suffering from a bullet wound. And then the people who were partying and mad at them for seeing the kronol come along now to attack them, so he starts defending her while coaching her how to open the door and get the fire from Chris. When the door opens, she beat the shit out of the fat bitch. Also, the suit dude is somehow still alive. He came back and tried to kill him with a gun, but her aim is fucking awful, so she leaves her dad to fight him off and tries to take the fire from Chris, but he stops her, momentarily considering Gilliam's offer. But then she senses something beneath the floor, tries to lift the tile up, so Chris helps her and finds that Timmy is down there doing the job of a part that went extinct. Gilliam slowly closes the hatch, explaining that he's not actually a pedophile. Maybe he is, I don't know, but he mainly uses small poor kids to replace broken parts for his not so eternal engine. So Chris beats him up, wedges his fucking hand in the gears to try and get the little kid out, gives Yona the fire, while the other little ginger kid comes out of a fucking hole in the wall, goes and jumps into the engine. Chris can't stop him but pulls little Timmy out. Nam kills suit dude while Yona lights the fuse and they both run into the room. Nam tries to close the door but it won't shut because it's malfunctioning, so they hug it out to protect the children inside from the explosion. And this is where I pause for a minute to release the giant list of notes I have on this past sequence. A, the revolt was supposed to stop in the Yakaterina tunnel, but it didn't. You have security cameras though. You could have seen that they were asleep and there were like only 2 guards on duty, maybe, protecting them that night in the water supply section. Went in there and killed them all, but you didn't. Why not, dipshit? B, why is the angry mob attacking Nam one by one over the narrow bitch and not overwhelming him with sheer numbers? What a retarded hive mind. C, suit dude not being dead is plausible, I guess, but him passing out with his eyes open is not plausible. But then again, I'm not a doctor and all my information about people passing out in movies is from movies, so I don't know. D, why does the angry mob not continue to attack them in this little bit where they light the fuse and hug? E, why do they not attack Nam immediately when he was stealing the kronol? They seem very pissed about it in the moment, so why didn't they? F, one pathetic human bone surely is not stopping the gears of a fucking eternal engine that probably has over 5,000 horsepower or something. Also, couldn't you have tried to stop the gears with a couple of chair legs first instead of shoving your arm in there? Are you really that keen on losing your fucking arm? Whatever. All that shit being said, the kronol explodes, triggering an avalanche that wipes out all the cars except for the front view, killing everybody. The front view make it through a tunnel, come out the other end, derailed. Everybody else is dead in those cars except for Yona and Timmy, who get out of the train now in a survivable atmosphere, but still very cold, tasked with repopulating the whole planet. And I hate to be that guy again, actually, who am I kidding? I love being that guy. But that infant and teenage drug addict are probably still gonna die from the cold because they're incompetent and or get mauled to death by this polar bear. Anyway, this movie gets 7 fish fingers out of 3 Pooh Bears.